actual journalist, and there are very few left. And it's like Katie Pavlich at Fox. She has a book called Fast and Furious when we're talking about gun control type thing. So Fast and Furious was the nickname of a program where the government let weapons go into Mexico just to
wound up killing officers.
Killing Brian Terry, wound up killing a Border Patrol agent. And then it was all, of course, tried to be covered up, and we weren't really trying.
What that seems like something right out of your book.
It does. Because
it seems like the idea that you're going to sell guns to the cartel. Do you know there's a Mariana Van Zeller? She has this show called Trafficked.
I've heard of that.
It's on, what is it on again? Discovery? Nat Geo? It's a great show. Okay. It's fucking fantastic. And I watched the one on cocaine. It's heavy. But there was one on guns and guns at the cartels. And this is coming out of her show. She was getting these guys who were trafficking these guns down into Mexico, explaining how they get them. They got them from the LAPD. She was like, we're buying them from the LAPD. They put them in their trunk, and they drive them to Mexico because there's no border patrol that lets you into Mexico. You can just drive into Mexico. Yeah. If you're in the United States, driving into Mexico is a breeze. So this guy would fill his trunk up on a regular basis with guns that he got from the LAPD. Yeah. Some bad person in the LAPD is getting him these guns, and he's selling them to Mexico, to the cartels.
Yeah, well, this is even worse than that. It was a program by the federal government. Actually, I believe it started under, they can check out that book, Fast and Furious, details all of it. But there was one in the Bush administration, and it wasn't working out. They're like, okay, let's put a hold on this. Let's stop. This is not working out. We're not able to track these guns. And then the Obama administration opens it back up, and they put tracking devices on like 2 of thousands of firearms. So they tracked 2, and they're trying to prove a narrative that, hey, all these gun sales in the United States are ending up in Mexico. Well, yeah, because you're talking to these gun store owners, you're putting pressure on them, making them do things they would not ordinarily do otherwise, and letting 50 AK-47s go out the door and then sift their way into Mexico so you can track them to, get into these cartels and take down those cartels. No, and prove this narrative that the violence in Mexico is our fault. So now we need to overregulate these firearms, and what ends up happening, they lose control of everything because they only put 2 tracking devices, I think, on all of those thousands of firearms, and one ends up killing a Border Patrol agent.
One of the ones they put a tracking device on?
Nope, they got the serial numbers of all of them. Oh. So they tracked them all in one of those ones, and then, of course, it tries to get shut down. It's crazy.
Fucking harebrained idea.
That would have been a book. That would have been a total conspiracy, and people would think it was fiction unless the story was broken, and unless Katie wrote this book, and unless people talked about it. But people hardly talk about it at all anymore. It's just it's the federal government going in and creating some crazy scheme to prove a narrative that's not even real, so that they can infringe on our rights as Americans in this country. It's insane.
So bizarre.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre that it's true. That was Eric Holder, right?
Eric Holder, yeah. Exactly.
But it seems like a thing in your book.
It does.
And it seems like there's some nefarious intent.
Yes.
It seems like there'd be some other pieces in play. Like, I mean, but how much money is involved in selling 50 guns or whatever? How many guns was it?
It's thousands.
Thousands of guns.
But they'd walk into a gun store and buy like 50. Buy like 40, buy 30.
So Fast and the Furious was thousands of guns?
Thousands of guns. Yeah, the book tells you exactly how many. But
thousands of guns is millions of dollars.
It's when you're doing it when like one person's going in buying, let's say 30, even going
right. But I mean, Mexico. All in all.
Oh yeah, we're talking a lot of money depending on how much they're selling in foreign Mexico. I'm not sure what that exactly works out to.
Guns overall.
We can look it up. Yeah, we can look it up right here.
Got it. 2,000?
Under the sale of 2,000.
Which only 710 were recovered. Wow.
Yeah, well, good job, federal government.
That is crazy. They monitored the sale of about 2,000 firearms.
Then they disappeared.
You might have did a little more than monitoring.
They got the serial numbers as they left the store, because the store has them, obviously. But then there's only tracking devices on it, I think, 2.
That is fucking crazy.
Yeah, but no one even talks about this.
2,000 guns.
Yeah, I think there's some more research that it's actually more than that, but yeah, insane. But so does the federal government always have our best interest of the citizenry at heart? Well, I think not.
So going back to your book, this is like this guy, James Reese, is essentially a vehicle for you to, in some ways, tell your version, like what you understand to be possible in terms of incompetence and corruption and just straight up evil people that really do exist. So you've made these kind of fictional narratives that sort of highlight it's not all the things you highlight. They're not impossible. They could happen that way, even though it is fiction, and you have created these characters and created these corrupt senators and all these evil folks behind the scenes. This is all inside the realm of possibility.
I think so. I mean, we have our politicians give us a lot of material to work with as authors, and they're making my job a lot harder now because now you got to think because you can suspend disbelief for like once in your story. So that's what makes it a good one, especially if it's not science fiction or something like that.
Where'd you I don't think you suspended disbelief.
Readers, well, you can do something like, readers will go with you for one thing, like, okay, but I'm going to go with it. But if you do 3, 4, 5 of those in a row, they're not going with you.
I don't think you did that,
Oh,
though.
thank you.
There was not
a lot of it, especially in this one, a ton of research into this book right here, into Devil's Hand. Usually, for the other ones, I'd been to Iraq and Afghanistan for the first book. For the second, I went to Mozambique, put boots on the ground. For the third one, I went to South Africa, helped train up an anti-poaching unit out there, protecting some of the last rhino on Earth, so I could talk to these guys in those units and talk to them about man tracking and that sort of thing, getting their heads about that tactic and the tactics they used in the bush wars and in urban centers, and now out there protecting some of these rhino. And then I went to Siberia, just south of Siberia, to Kamchatka Peninsula. For this one, COVID hit.
You went to Siberia for when Reese goes through Siberia?
Yes, I went to Kamchatka, which is just south of Siberia.
But
that was the bear hunt.
The bear hunt.
Yeah.
We're still gonna get to that. But this one, all of these.
A lot of research in here.
But all of these laws that are in place or orders that the president can give in case of some sort of an outbreak, those are real?
So I talked to a lot of people. I did a lot of research, and I filled in the blanks. So kind of like a journal, what I think a journalist would do. Wouldn't just talk to one person and be like, oh, that's it, I'm going to write my story. That was my investigation, talking to one person. No, I talked to multiple people that have been involved in all sorts of different aspects of bioweapons, bioweapon containment, bioweapon research, that sort of thing.
Even the horrific I don't want to give away too much of the book, but there's moments where things are being contemplated that would have horrific consequences if they're incorrect.
Yeah. I would be shocked if that is not true. Out of all my research that I did, whether it was reading articles, whether it was reading books, whether it was talking to people involved, connecting certain dots, overlapping some of these conversations with the research that I've done. Because when you talk to people that have backgrounds in bioweapons research, they're not really that open to talking all about it. So they'll leave things out. They'll just give you some hints. But you know what? When you talk to 5, 6, 7, 8 different people that are involved in it, every one of them leaves something out, but you can start weaving it together. And then when you do your research, that baseline foundation, then you can start connecting the dots. So I would be shocked if there is not something in place similar to what I describe in the novel.